Welcome back to the All Ball Podcast, where it is all ball all the time. You are here with your hosts, Sean and Isaiah. This is episode number 62, and today we're going to be reviewing 2 games that the Rockets have played for the preseason so far, that they've won. And then we're going to be going over some players that have returned from injury, like Jamal Murray, Kawhi, and just talk about how we viewed them so far throughout the preseason. But before all that, as always, Isaiah, how you feeling today?
Now, anyone who's been a fan of this podcast since at least, I want to say, around April, they'll know that I've had issues with the way the NBA schedules things. This is something that came to light in the playoffs with how they scheduled some of the games. And it's continuing because I am upset at the way the NBA has these games scheduled. Now, also, as most fans of the podcast would know, I'm a big Giannis fan. Why have the only games that the Bucks played been scheduled early in the day when I can't watch them?
You know, I wish I had an answer for you, but obviously I don't, because I'm not Adam Silver or whoever schedules these games.
And then don't even get me started on the fact that our Rockets have only played twice. Played once last Sunday and then didn't play again until Friday. It's ridiculous.
And I believe we don't play again till Tuesday?
I haven't even looked, man. Let me see. Okay, no, we don't.
No, we play tomorrow.
Tuesday. Okay, yeah, we play tomorrow.
At 6:30 versus the Heat. I think that should be pretty good.
Sheesh,
test.
Man.
Yeah, you know, I watched most of the last Rock. I watched the first one, all of it. I watched all of it.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, I got to watch some of it, just because I was out that night. But, looking at the highlights, I guess we'll go ahead and start with the first game. Let's go ahead and start with the first game from what we saw, because it was the first game of the season. So let's go and start with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Jabari Smith.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
This guy right here, I know it's one preseason game, and I know I'm overreacting, as probably as much as I could overreact. But this guy looks like he already might be a lock for, like, Rookie of the Year if he stays healthy. And the only reason I'm saying that, well, okay, not the only reason, because I do think that his skill set is, I guess you could say, would allow him to win Rookie of the Year over Banchero. But I watched the Magic game, a little bit of it, and from what I saw, they weren't using Banchero how I think they would use him, or how I thought they would use him.
I'm glad that you brought him up too, because I was gonna sneak in a little comment based on the way Banchero's been playing, I don't see it happening anyway. But
yeah,
I'm glad that you brought that up, because I did watch one of their games, because trying to catch a Magic game is very hard. They do not want to show Magic games for whatever reason. But I was able to sneak in and get a look at one of their games. I think it was their second game. And yeah, they had him off the ball so much, which I think is more of a detriment to him, since the whole big thing about him was his playmaking at his size.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Why not give him the ball and let him ISO, at least 3 times a quarter or a little bit more. But
or if they're not going to ISO, at least give him a screen.
Yeah, just the amount of touches that he was getting to create for himself or just create for others doesn't feel like enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope, just for the sake of his rookie season and career, they don't really use him like that.
Yeah, especially when you consider who they were giving those touches to, and instead of him. Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs. Like, listen, I get that these guys are NBA level guys, but they are trash. They've been trash. Neither one of those two have consistently contributed well enough to warrant absolute control of the offense compared to at least giving Boncaro a chance.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't go as far to say they're trash. I would say they've. I think Cole Anthony's definitely been better than Suggs, but I definitely think Suggs' rookie year was by far the biggest disappointment of all rookies.
Mm-hmm.
Cole Anthony, I think, probably has more potential than Suggs at this point, from what I've seen.
Without a doubt, but that's why I brought up the consistency point. Is that he's looked good, but his lows have been terribly low, which is why I have a problem with him just getting full control, even though, I mean, obviously it's not just him, but him getting more control over the offense than giving Paolo some touches.
Mm-hmm. The Magic are making a big mistake if their focus isn't trying to just feed Boncaro the whole season. Their number one priority should just be getting this man as many touches as he can get it, and just getting him the most experience on the court.
Exactly, because I think especially at some point, not comparing him to this player literally in play style or anything like that, but I can see him being a bit of a positive matchup problem in the way that Ben Simmons is on 2K. Because anybody who plays 2K will know Ben Simmons at point guard is one of the most annoying things to have to deal with. And I think if they properly develop Paolo, he can become that problem in real life.
Mm-hmm. And just to kind of, I don't know how much more you want to talk about this, because I know we're supposed to be focused on the Rockets, but I think we have a real conversation here about the Magic.
Exactly.
The Magic, I'll be honest, I still think they're probably going to be the worst team in the East. You look at the Pistons, who were the second worst team last year. They have a lot better roster than the Magic do. They have a true, bona fide superstar in Cade Cunningham, or growing into superstar. They have some other guys there like Isaiah Stewart and Sadiq Bey, and then they, drafted Jaden Ivey. The Pacers probably won't be as bad as they were last year. I think Miles Turner still is growing. They got a full year of Tyrese Halliburton.
Mm-hmm.
Wizards, I mean, I think they'll still be around that 12th seed. All these other teams are like still around that level. Maybe like the Knicks, they're going to be pretty bad this year, but I mean, still, I don't think they're going to be as worse as the Magic. The Magic, you have to be reasonable with yourself and say you're probably going to be the worst team in the league still, and just go ahead and fully develop Boncaro and like just throw everything you can at him.
Exactly, because like you're saying, every other team in the league has either developed or semi-developed talent that puts them, I don't want to say all in the playoff conversation, but most of the East is a toss-up for who's going to be fighting for those bottom playoff / play-in spots.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, with the exceptions, I'm pretty sure that the Pacers, while they're going to be kind of competitive for it, I think they're one of the teams that are just going to absolutely miss out. For the most part, it's a clear distinction where the Magic are by far the worst. And then right above them, there's this whole separate tier of team.
Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if the Pistons even find a way to get into the play-in. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
I think it would surprise me just because of how young their team is. Like, we're talking about their best player is Cade, who is only a second-year guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying that it would be the craziest thing in the world, but it would still surprise me. Just like how when the Hawks made it to the conference finals with Trae Young already.
Right. Let's go ahead and transition a little bit back to the Rockets because we've already spent quite a little bit of time
Yeah,
on
but that was a
the
serious
Magic.
issue.
It was.
Because it looks like the Magic are gonna magic it up again.
Okay, so let's talk about Jalen Green. The man's handles look so much better. They're like, how do I put it? His handles look a lot tighter than they were last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he looks more controlled with his handle.
Even like that play from last game where they weren't throwing a double team at him, but they were pressing him really hard. It was like at the very beginning of the game, and he got up that 3-point shot.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he was able to control that ball while the defender was that close to him and basically pressing him to the close to the half court line, that's impressive. That's growth for me. His 3-point shot looks better, and he just looks like he's playing with more physicality. And I'm so glad that he was able to bulk up over the summer to be able to play the way he is playing over the last 2 preseason games.
Yeah, and I think another good point, like relative to what you're talking about, is there was one play in their first game where he did some kind of move. He was going downhill, and he hit this great dump off pass to, I can't remember what big was on the court at the time, but he hit a great dump off pass to the big, and that was something that looks like something he's worked on and he's improved over the off season, because I don't see him pulling that off as cleanly as he did last season.
Kevin Porter Jr. has not impressed me the most yet.
Yeah, I will say that his playmaking in the first game did look really good. Like the amount of alley-oops that he threw that all connected cleanly, especially considering how many were thrown in that game that didn't connect from other players. Yeah, it really emphasized how well he did. And I don't even think he had any turnovers. Okay, no, he had 2.
Yeah, I definitely say that his playmaking is improved, but his shot IQ is still a pain for me.
Oh my goodness, this man missed like back-to-back layups at the rim and then proceeded to try and dunk on somebody right after. Like, I like the mindset. I like the good, aggressive mindset. But if something's not working, bro, you just got to do something different. I don't care if it means getting off the ball, giving it to somebody else. Maybe you just start shooting, at which point, who knows if that's going to fall with him. But it's better than just keep trying to force up these layups and close shots and missing them.
Yeah, as my point guard of the team, I would like you to be focusing, 80% on playmaking. And because it's no secret that Jalen Green and Jabari Smith have, more in the bag for scoring-wise than Kevin Porter Jr. And with those 2 guys on the court, I really just need KPJ to just focus on playmaking. Yeah, he can get his own here and there, but when you got guys like Green and Jabari who can just go out there and score, you would fit the team better if you go out and do what your position's supposed to do. But I'm not saying, because we've seen him drop 50, so it's not like he can't score. But yeah, so another guy I want to talk about, and I think this guy's been really impressive. This guy is just tearing it up the two games.
Well, know who we're talking about?
Tari
Eason, yep.
This guy looks like an absolute steal of the draft, like Şengün levels type of steal.
Really? I think he might even be a bigger steal than Şengün was.
Where was Şengün drafted? He was drafted 19th or 17th, right?
Was he? You know what? Yeah,
I'm gonna look this up
because it was Garuba and Christopher that we got later in that draft. So yeah, he was somewhere in the teens.
16th. 16th, and I believe Tari was 17th. I'll
I
look this
don't
up too.
remember. I just all I remember from this draft was getting Jabari Smith at 3.
Yes, it was 17. So I mean,
Okay.
basically the exact same spot. You know.
Yeah. So at which point you're just talking about how well that they're performing out the gate. At which point I believe, yeah, Tari has definitely been the bigger steal. Don't get me wrong. Shingun definitely still really good player. Glad we have him. But Tari Eason is looking like a beast out there on the court. And this is him as a rookie. There's still room to grow, which is terrifying to think of.
Yeah, I mean, 2 preseason games. I mean, he looks better than almost all of our other, forwards. I would say that he looks. I mean, other than Jabari, of course, but Jabari's only played 1 game, and I really hope that ankle issue or whatever he has going on isn't too serious. But I mean, I feel like he's already better than Tate.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He plays a lot better defense than KPJ. I mean, Kenya Martin Jr. Who are else some of our other wings? I don't want Matthews getting any minutes. From what Matthews has shown me the last 2 games, I don't need him on the court at all.
Yeah. Like I told you before, I'm just gonna say it again to put it back out there. The Gary Bird era is officially over.
At this point, I don't know what his actual strength is on the team. Like, I mean, he's
Yeah, he was quite literally out there just for shooting. And now that he's not hitting his shots, what are you there for?
yeah.
He serves zero purpose.
I saw a breakdown earlier today about the Rockets are having 20 people on the roster at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes down basically like from all the guys that are safe on the team. It comes down basically to Boban,
Mm-hmm.
Derek Favors, and Garrison Matthews. Which one of those guys is going to get cut or waived or traded?
Well, I think without a doubt it has to be Matthews.
I think it has to be Matthews too, because like it said, like the post said, Boban is vibes
Mm-hmm.
and revenue, just alone in himself.
Just he's the ultimate morale boosting player.
Derek Favors could serve as a serviceable backup, like a third string backup, and his contract is going to be good for a trade.
Mm-hmm. And also, he's been in the league for quite a while, so I think it'll be good for him to maybe pass off some experience to our young bigs, like maybe
Mm-hmm.
Şengün, Eason, even Fernando to an extent. I don't remember how long Fernando's been in the league, but I
Fernando
know.
has not been in the league. He's been like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, but I was getting to, I don't know how long he's been in the league, but it hasn't been that long. So yeah, if he can pass off some nuggets of experience to each one of those guys to help them develop better, I will gladly take that on a team over Garrison Matthews, who, as far as I can remember, has barely even been in the league actually playing games, and now is doing nothing to contribute positively to NBA play.
Yeah, I definitely think Matthews is probably the odd guy out here, and it's kind of sad because I did, love the whole Gary Bird hype, but I think that's dead. That's pretty dead.
Yeah, it sucks to say, but hey, man, when it happens, it happens.
Yeah, I just want to go over a couple more guys just before we go in and move on to some of the other guys that aren't on the Rockets.
Mm-hmm.
I talked some smack, I'm not going to lie, about this guy, but he does look like he will end up being our backup center. Bruno Fernando, he's looked decent. I can't even lie. He's looked all right. Like, he can be a guy that grows into a serviceable backup.
Yep, and I have to
I'm not
agree
mad
with
at it.
you. I have to agree with you. Bruno Fernando has really surprised me, especially with some of his defensive instincts.
Mm-hmm.
While I do remember one play distinctly where he had a late rotation on a Pascal Siakam drive, you could tell that he saw it and he just hesitated a little bit. So I feel like if he can learn to like read those instincts sooner and just react to them immediately, that would have been a clean block, probably would have been a fast break. One of our guys is throwing that down on the other end.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think with a little bit more development with the team, Bruno Fernando could definitely be a really important piece to us being more entertaining and even slightly competitive.
Yeah, I definitely could see him growing. With that new contract, he could be here for a while, and I'm
Hmm.
totally okay with that. Uh, Last thing I want to say is the Dacia Knicks hype potential. I'm sorry, that's gone. That's out of the room for me. I don't even want to consider Knicks being part of a backup point guard for our team anymore. I think it has to go to Washington.
Yep, and I was waiting for us to get to this one because my goodness, has Dacian Nix looked awful on the court, especially in the Raptors. Against the Raptors, he was so atrocious. This man I can't even remember dude's first name, but whoever Banton is that for the Raptors, this man weighs like 125 probably, and he was bullying Dacian Nix for like 3-4 plays straight. And don't even get me started on the amount of blown layup attempts that Knicks had on the other end.
Hmm. Yeah, it's time for the Rockets to go ahead and I think move on. It's been what, like 2-3 years for Knicks being in our organization, and everyone talking about him being the backup point guard. I can't see it anymore. It just doesn't look like he's really grown over these couple of years. And Ty Ty looks already, more NBA level ready than Knicks has been in these 3 years,
And he
whatever,
definitely
2 years.
looks more promising, if not NBA level ready. He's
Right.
showing really good passing instincts for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. Let's go ahead and move on to some other guys around the league.
Hmm.
Who do you want to go ahead and talk about first?
Since we talked about him last week, I think we can start with Zion.
All right. So, do you want to go first? I go first.
I can go first because I kind of just want to breeze through these, just to give some quick thoughts on them.
All right.
I think Zion looks really good out there on the court. Like he definitely looks like he's a lot healthier. He's moving a lot better out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, like we talked about before, it's just going to be a matter of consistency. How can he hold up throughout the 82 game season?
Mm-hmm. And what I have to say about Zion is, I don't even understand how this is possible. But he looks even more explosive than he did, before all the injuries.
Hmm.
And like you said, it all depends on his health and if he could have that successful, quotation successful season that we talked about last week
Hmm.
of whatever 65 games or so.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I want to double down on what I said last week too. Watch out for this guy being in the MVP race.
Oh, yeah, for
100%.
sure. Especially with how he's looked. Oh, yeah, I could definitely see it now. Like, I already had some expectation for it, but now it's looking like an even higher possibility.
Yeah, I'll even go out to say, Pelicans fans, look out, because I mean, y'all might win the division. I can't even lie. The Rockets are bad. Well, not bad, not as bad as Spurs, but
But I mean, we're pretty bad still, nonetheless.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
we're pretty bad.
um, the Mavs, I think, are good, but I don't think they have as much depth as the Pelicans.
Hmm.
And the Grizzlies, without Jaren, I think are going to take quite a bit of a hit.
Yeah, you know what? And I think the Mavs are especially not going to be too much of a threat for the Grizzlies since they think Christian Wood coming off the bench is a good idea. But okay.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well just hand him the Sixth Man of the Year award, but still, I don't think it's a good decision just to have him coming off the bench. I mean, I guess if you're going to start JaVale McGee, you could still start Christian at the 4, but uh, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like the right move to me still.
Yeah, I fully disagree with that, but I think we can go ahead and transition to whoever you want to talk about next.
All right, I want to go ahead and start with Jamal Murray.
Hmm.
He hasn't looked the best, so far,
Mm-hmm.
you know, he's. I was expecting just a little bit more, just a little bit. But I do have to say that it's been a very long time since this man has played.
Exactly. And that's why I
So,
wasn't going to give him too much flack.
yeah, and I want to go back to maybe a couple weeks ago when we said that these guys like Jamal Murray, Kawhi, some of the other guys that haven't played in a while, even like Ben Simmons. I want to talk about Ben Simmons a little bit too in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to take a little bit to get back into their, to their groove. And I have this feeling that Jamal Murray is probably going to take off a little bit faster than the other guys around the league that haven't been playing for a while, even though he's struggling in preseason.
And I can see that because he is that kind of player. He's really active with the ball and he really likes to put up those numbers a lot.
Mm-hmm. And you got to think about it, like who he's playing with. He's playing with the best center in the league that can create for him also. So it's not like he always has to create for himself. He has a top tier playmaking with him. So I could definitely see Jamal, taking off after like 20 games and being back to the level that he was at.
Exactly. Like you make a really good point about him playing alongside Jokic, who is undoubtedly one of the best playmakers of all time. So that, like, on top of, like I said about him being a very active player, he's really proactive. He gets the ball, he looks to get to his spots. So between the two of those factors, I could definitely see him getting into his groove a lot quicker than, say, Kawhi or Ben Simmons.
Mm-hmm. So I want to go and talk about Ben Simmons real quick. Not sure what I was expecting, but it definitely wasn't what he's shown so far. I wanted to talk about him and some of his decision making so far. Him trying to take that little turnaround fade. I don't know if that's not what we wanted from Ben Simmons when we were talking about trying to shoot the ball more.
I actually forgot all about that until you just brought it up. The way he bricked that was so bad. Oh man, yeah. Yeah, Ben, please don't take any more of those for your own sake. You're just giving people way too much easy content.
And man, I really wanted him to be more aggressive, but I didn't want him to go out there like that and do that. He scored 10 points over the last 2 games that he's played, which they've only played 2 games. But I mean, that's just ugly decision making. Just absolutely terrible.
Yeah, but I will give him his credit. On the defensive end, he has looked up to standard for the most part, at least from what I saw.
Mm-hmm. I think that should be a given for him. If he can't even come back and be a plus on defense, then he might as well just retire. Other than playmaking, he can't do anything else. He rebounds, but you're what, 6'10"? I could hope you would rebound.
You will not give this man any credit.
I really wanted to. I'm serious. I really wanted to. If he came out aggressive and scored 10 plus points each game efficiently, still kept up the defense. Like I said, he really needs to. If he can't do that, then I don't know what to tell him. But yeah, his offense, he puts these videos out to where he's showing that he's worked on his game, but it just does not translate to an actual game.
That describes a lot of NBA players, especially when you look at bigs who post videos of them shooting threes and open runs or in workouts. But I think Ben Simmons is a special case on that front.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's any hope for this man left. I know he's young and everything, but I don't know if the Nets
he may be young, but he's not that young.
He's what, like 25 now, I
Yeah, I
think?
think he's 25, 26. He one of those. So either way it goes, he's nearing that point of no real room for growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was there any other players that you wanted to talk about before we go ahead and, wrap everything up?
We didn't get to Kawhi. That's it.
Okay, yeah, Kawhi. What have you seen from Kawhi, so far that you've liked, didn't like, any of the above?
I will say one thing that I liked is that Kawhi definitely has not lost any of his confidence. I want to say it was the first game out. Yeah, like he had the ball out there on the top of the key, or it might have been on the wing. Yeah, like on the wing three. And I think he had the big from the other team guarding him. It was, oh yeah, because they were playing the Trailblazers. It was Yusuf Nurkic guarding him.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of faking him, making him think he was going to go for the drive, and then just pulled it up for a three. Clean nets it as if he hasn't missed a single game. And so
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that when he made his shots, they looked just as if he hadn't really missed a game. But I will say that he also had some really bad decision making and stagnation too, which is clearly a function of him missing so much time. He might
Mm-hmm.
not be fully reintegrated into the system and how the players may move and all of that. So there were times where he got the ball and he just kind of looked stuck with it, like he didn't know where to go, what to do with it, and he ended up just forcing up a shot.
Mm-hmm. I actually won't comment on Kawhi because I haven't been able to catch really any of a Clippers game except that one highlight there you were talking about where he pulled up for the 3.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'll just go ahead and go over some expectations that I have for him. I would hope that he would at least be 90% of the defensive player that he used to be, and I don't think that's too hard for Kawhi just because of how talented he is on that side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think Kawhi's by far one of the most smartest players out there. So if you're saying that he's making some bad IQ decisions, that's definitely something to look out for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he'll go ahead and make those decisions the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But still, if it is something that continues, that's kind of worrisome.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm pretty sure that it's just a matter of him not being fully reintegrated into the system yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because first of all, I don't know how long he's been cleared for 5-on-5, but it hasn't been like a super long time, if I can remember correctly. And then on top of that, we're talking about a couple new pieces being integrated into the team. So that's one thing. And then even 5-on-5 runs with just the team aren't really the same thing as actually playing against another team.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree with you. So are you ready to go ahead and wrap things up?
Yeah, we can go ahead and close out.
All right. Oh, actually, I just want to say one more thing before we close out.
Mm-hmm.
I talked trash about this man when me and you were at the game. I literally said, "Who is this guy?" when we brought him in. But Isaiah Hartenstein, look out for most improved player, man. I can't if he keeps that 3-point shot going, he could definitely be a starting level center. I could see it.
But you make a good point with that.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to finish off with. Because I felt bad that I literally said, "Who is this guy?" whenever we brought him in. Yeah, let's go ahead and wrap things up. All right, if you enjoyed the episode, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Isaiah, any last comments?
Don't forget, share the podcast with as many people as you can. And let's get a hashtag Start Christian Wood movement going.
Yes, please get that man off the bench. All right, we'll go ahead and catch you on the next episode next week.